Hello, I'm back again. You bet you're sick of my face right now. Before we kick things off today, I just want to say thanks to everybody who's been sharing these on a weekly basis, who's been interacting, who's been making their voices heard. I've heard some really good opinions, and today there's some opinions that's been put forward that has been quite interesting, to say the least. And now I've got some real split the room conversation that I want to go through today. We've had some really, really good questions. We've only had a couple of tracks through this week, which we'll go through in a second. But that said, I do think that we're going to have a bit of a split room today with some of these opinions. Obviously, I'll drop my 5 pence in there as well because, as always, I love doing that. So what today is going to be, we've got a good few questions to get through. The Discord, the YouTube and Facebook has been going off. So I'm going to squeeze as many questions as I can into this today. We do have some events to go through this week, quite a lot on this week. And we have 2 tracks. We have another from Ryan Neal, but this time it's under his trance alias, which is N-AYR. Sorry, Ryan. And I don't do that on purpose. And a new one from a guy called Flex, who's relatively new to the scene, I believe, or new to me at least. And it's one of his tunes as well. So we'll get into that as later in the show. First things first, we'll get kicked off with the questions this week. As always, if you're enjoying this, let me know. If you are wanting to write any questions in, any debates that you think should be had, any discussions or any topics that we believe that need to be covered, obviously write it in and we'll discuss it. And if we talk about anything today during this show and you feel like, you know what, I disagree with this, or I do agree and he's a little bit more information, let me know in the comments. Because, and again, if you do write in the comments, I will reply to every comment as well, with maybe an answer back from your what you've said and your opinion. And again, if there is some really good opinions that's worth talking about, I'll talk about it on next week's show as well. So we're going to get straight into today. Some lovely questions. We'll get into this 2 seconds. So, questions. Get things started with Ghost Production versus Engineers. So, Ghost Production versus Engineering. This came in from Donk by Design on Discord, and yeah, it's a spicy one. So, what's your opinion on people using Ghost Production versus Engineering? What is actually the difference? Fairly new to the scene, please let me know. So, straight away into this, there is a huge difference between an engineer and a ghost producer. Some people blur the lines a little bit, but I'll try and break this down as best I can. With this, if you are using an engineer, there is nothing wrong with that. You're still technically a producer. If you're coming in with the ideas, and again, I know a lot of people, and one that came straight to my head, and this is just me being honest, is Vibes from the hardcore scene. DJ Vibes ideas are really, really, really good. Like, he's had some of the biggest happy hardcore tunes ever, and he's not a producer, but he's got a good ear for music, and at the same time, he knows what the crowd want as well. And I remember, I've got a couple of his releases down there. You'd have like a happy hardcore tune on one side, and you'd have like on the flip side, it'd be something a bit darker and a bit more underground. And he could cater to both sides. I'm just using him as an example, but in this case, engineering, you know, whether it's like polishing a mix, I know some people do use engineers for mix downs. I use a mastering engineer for my tunes. I have no shame in that. Shameless plug on, by the way, CLSM mastering. If you need a real good master, send your stuff over to him. Obviously, you can't polish a turd, so try and do the best mix down you can, and then send it over to be mastered. Engineering, like, and I hope John won't mind what I'm going to say here, but like, I'm the engineer in Manic. So for instance, he'll come to me with a bunch of ideas, and anyone who knew Brad Refresh prior to Manic can see that there's a difference in the music to what a Manic tune is, because what what I do is, obviously I've still got my input on the tracks as an engineer, but John will come to me with this, well, what about this? Or what about if we change this up? Or what do you think of this style of a riff? And then there's times where he'll go, it should go like this, and actually be the right on the tunes as well. So, in my opinion, that's somebody who's used an engineer. You go to see anyone in the bounce scene. I know, for instance, there is a few engineers out there. So obviously you've got Kenny, which is the one that a lot of people use. I know Rob Kane does some. I know that there's a guy called Rosie. I don't know him, but I know he's offering engineering services. There's a whole plethora of people within the scene who will engineer your music. Again, using an engineer, if you've got ideas, is fantastic. I'm going to use a little bit of experience that I've had myself, and I think I might have talked about it in a previous podcast. I had a guy travel up from, I'm not going to be very precise where it was, but it was the Midlands to mine, so that's a good 4 or 5 hour drive. He'd been DJing the night before, and he sat on my sofa asleep. In this room, actually, before the decks were there, I had a little sofa, and he fell asleep, and I sat and engineered the tune, and he came in, and I was like, so, what do you want to do? And he was just so vacant. He was just obviously he'd been DJing the night before, he was a bit rough, and he was like, yeah, just make it sound like your sound, but I want this vocal, and it was like a pop remix of something, and I was like, right, so, and started going through, we started with the initial idea. I was like, what direction do you want to go in? So we started writing some chords and whatnot. It's like, no, you just do you. And then he just fucking fell asleep for an hour or two. And I got the whole meat of the track down. He got up and he was like, oh, this is good, this. And it's just a little bit frustrating. Because to me, you've just paid someone to make you a tune. You're not even having any input on it. Little after that, we didn't do anything else together after that. And I've worked with other people as well who've went, I want a tune that sounds like this, and that's all they've done. There's no real input to it, and again, they're usually one and dones when I work with them. If there's somebody who comes into the studio with genuine ideas, genuine vision, I thrive on that hugely. So yeah, using an engineer is cool. And there's some people who've got amazing ideas and a real difference in sound to everybody else, and they use an engineer and they can make some of the biggest tunes. A lot of the big tunes over the last few years were engineered by other people, but the ideas came from that artist. And that said, that brings me on to the Ghost production side of things. So when you use a Ghost producer, and I've spotted a couple of these in the scene. Using a Ghost producer, so this is the difference. They're going to somebody and getting a tune made, and they're passing it off as if they've done it all. And I've stood and talked to people in clubs in the past, and I'll say, oh, that tune's good. I know fine well, because obviously you can tell a certain producer's sound by, but if I engineer a tune, I'm sure some people out there will be able to spot, oh, that's Brad who's done that tune or whatever. And I know fine well that they didn't do the tune. And I'm just, so yeah, we're talking about a riff, or how do you come up with that? And when they give you the worst answers ever, I'm just like, yeah, whatever, you absolute fucking moron. Don't agree with Ghost production. Do not fucking tell lies. That's the be all and end all of it. Do not tell lies on making a tune. If you didn't make it, say someone made it for you. It's common courtesy of yes, I used an engineer. Like I say, using an engineer, going in with ideas, that's fantastic. If you're just paying somebody to make you a tune, they go, look at, this is my tune, fuck off. I've got no other words for that. It angers me a little bit, because there's a lot of people out there who put a lot of hard work in learning the craft, learning music, and just, and they'll make tunes and whatnot, and that's cool. But then someone basically telling lies, I'm not about that at all, at all. And again, when it comes to engineering, if you're crediting the person, oh, this was, engineered by so-and-so, that's cool. That's absolutely fine. Then people know that, okay, they didn't actually engineer the track, but it's maybe their ideas and whatnot. And you can usually tell as well. But yeah, that's my 2 pence on that. I didn't want to get too far into that. But What's your opinion on that? Because there is people who are engineers and producers, or there's people who are solely engineers and they're not actually producing anything. They don't have any input in it. I've been in and worked with people in the past where I've not had any input whatsoever, and it's been fully them, and I wouldn't class myself as a producer on it, and therefore I wouldn't put my name on it as well. I'd just engineer it, and they'll openly say thanks, Brad, for this tune and whatnot, and I'm cool with that. But on the flip side, what's your opinion on people using ghost producers and going, look, I produced this and I know what serum is, or I know how to EQ something. It's like, no, you don't have a fucking foggiest idea. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on ghost production. And if you disagree with me when I say it's okay for people using engineers, like, let me know, because I'll argue that till I'm red in the face. Some of the best tunes have been produced by somebody who's got a fucking really good musical ear, who've just not been able to put their ideas into a DAW, or use like sounds, and they don't know how to EQ, they don't know how to compress, they don't know how to utilize the tools. And I'm cool with that because it creates more good music. Imagine all the music that will be there in our, or wouldn't be there in our scene due to people having all these amazing ideas but not being able to put it down. That's just my food for thought. I don't expect, I don't know, what's the girl of the moment called at the minute? Taylor Swift, or, any of them. They don't sit there and produce all their tunes. They'll have input on it, obviously, but they're not sitting there. They're not the engineers of their tunes. So, and they don't get criticised for not engineering their own tunes. So if you use an engineer, cool, mate. Absolute cool. Second question, this one is saucy, and it's from DJ Candy. Shout Candy. You can't beat a banging shithole, as Candy says. And yeah, so this one is DJs playing the same tunes and not knowing producers who's on the lineup, things like that. So the question is, are some brands not recording their nights because it would expose the same tunes being played over and over, and the DJs not even realising producers on their own lineup made the tracks? Really good question. So this is where we have, and there's unspoken rules in this scene. There's unspoken rules in the whole music industry, to be honest with you. There's etiquette. There's as much as it is a bit of a free-for-all rave culture, and it might seem a bit rough around the edges. Between me and Candy, we had a conversation about this prior to today, and when he asked the question, I've had spoke to John about it. I've spoke, and then we've all got our thing. There's an etiquette, right? If I was on a lineup and I'd seen who have we got? So Ryan's got a thing in here a bit later. If Ryan was on the lineup as well, and I wanted to play one of his tunes, firstly, I wouldn't, out of respect, because there's a million other tunes you can play. But let's just say, for argument's sake, it was one of his older ones, and I had a feeling he wasn't going to play it. I'd just say, "Hey, mate, you all right? I know this is one of your older tunes. Do you plan on playing this tonight?" And if he goes, "No," and I'd go, "Do you mind if I do? Because I feel like it'll work." And if he's here, "Yeah, cool, sound," that's absolutely fine. But with what Candy's saying here is brands not recording the nights. That's something that's a bit missing from nowadays. If you ask me, you see all these big brands, right? So you've got your BTIDs. This is Bounce. You've got Corruption. You've got there's a whole range of nights out there. And you've got things in the Northeast. You've got things up my way, and for all the nights it's on, you don't hear the recordings anymore. Like, I still go back and listen to recordings from sets I used to do back when I was promoting events, and that was one of the first things I used to do, set the recorder off, because, I don't know, it captures the atmosphere of the evening, and, like, for me at least, it's not a throwback, but it's to relive that evening, just for, you're never going to get that time back ever again. It could be the best night of your life. And I always refer to the cricket recordings when it comes to the cricketer, or when it comes to a local club that was N-AYR. I still listen to the CD packs from Fusion in Workington, if anyone's familiar with that. Still listen to a lot of the Pleasure Rooms recordings, things like that. And you can feel the atmosphere on it. And I'll be honest with you, if the reason why brands, because Candy's a very active DJ. He's out and about all over the place. If the reason these brands are not releasing their recordings is because they're playing the same tunes over and over, or they're playing, there's a DJ that's on before, a producer playing their tunes, it's just fucking bang out of order, if you ask me. Like, because this is why we're getting to the conversation of all DJs sounding the same. We have listened to a set from any of the good names in the scene from any time period, and although some of the music trends might like be a little bit different throughout the years, you can almost tell which DJ is on. I can spot a John G set from a mile away. I can spot a John Neal set. I can spot a Rob Kane set. I can spot, and that's just because through familiarity and the style of mixing, throwing acapellas in, scratching. A lot of the DJs now are just playing out of and again, nothing against Bounce Heaven, but Bounce Heaven Digital's top tunes. Like, we do a radio show every month, and I was having this discussion with Dave Gray, actually, because he hosts Hump Day Wednesdays on LDC Radio. And honestly, if you're into your hard dance and stuff, listen to that as well. It's really good. And we're having this discussion, and the discussion was, like, all DJs sounding the same, making edits and exclusives for yourself to make your set that little bit different. That's the argument I was having with him. But then we got down the rabbit hole of, people are lazy and don't dig anymore for tunes. If you go back and listen to last month's radio show that I did, right? Yes, I think I took one track out of the Bounce Heaven Digital top new releases. But I was playing a little bit of hard trance. I was playing a little bit of hard house, and it doesn't necessarily sound like hard house, but I was digging through all of the digital stores, the Bandcamps, things like that, people's SoundClouds for who's given, new free downloads away and stuff. And you curate your own sound. I'd like to think if you listen to one of my sets, you can go, yeah, that's clearly Brad who's doing that. My radio shows are a little bit different because I'm not necessarily playing what I'd play in clubs, because I'm playing all the upfront stuff that I'm finding. And then, yes, I'll play that in clubs, but you'd get more of the manic tunes and the Brad Refresh tunes as well in there, because that's what people come to see, isn't it? But yeah, lazy sets. People, if you're just getting the latest fucking tunes from Bounce Heaven Digital or X Max, the fucking digital store here, I think there's a couple out there. There's Excite. If you're just getting the latest tunes from Excite or the latest tunes from wherever, it's fucking lazy, right? And having the cheek to play another producer's tracks whilst they're on the lineup, that pisses me off bad. And I've seen it happen over the years. Funnily enough, it's never the DJs I respect. Maybe shouldn't have said that. But here we are. I mean it. I just, I go through this with my heart on my sleeve all the time. I'm very passionate about our scene. I'm very passionate about the music in general. But there is some times when, and again, these DJs who do this, you tend to find they don't get booked again, or they don't become something, because that's just one element of who they are as a person. If you're just going to do that and you're so uneducated, you tend to not be able to read the crowd either. You tend not to, if you turn up with your pre-planned set of, I'm going to play these tunes, and you haven't even considered who's on the lineup, then more fool you, on to the next. Zero scene awareness there, if I'm honest with you. Question 3 is the Northern bounce scene just remix culture? And that is the Northern bounce scene just remixing classics over and over? Yes. In short, yes, it's true. We're bad for it. I know everyone else is as well. The thing is, it's easy wins. If you play it tactically, you can win. We are open and honest with what we do. We do a few bootlegs and edits and things like that because it gets eyes on who Manic are. That's just me being straight with you. Because everyone goes, oh, we've just done Better Off Alone again by Alice DJ. And we know that everyone knows that tune. So if we do a remix of it, straight away people will be just curious because of familiarity, and it's proven emotion almost. That said, what we do is we align an original with it as well. So we will do that, and then there's a little bit of buzz about us and what we're doing at that moment in time, in that week or that month, and then go, right, well, he's an original as well. And people, the trickle down effect doesn't always work, but you get that trickle down effect of oh yeah, we'll get like the 50% of the people who listened to Better Off Alone because they thought it was banging and they were familiar with it, then go and listen to our original and be like, okay. Originals are much harder to get over the line when it comes to promotion, when it comes to playing them out and getting a reaction, and when it comes to other DJs willing to play them. DJs are really, really reluctant, especially in our scene, of playing new music because it's not been proven, and they don't want to be the first one to break the record. They wait for somebody else to play it, and then off the back of that, they'll then go, right, I'm in the safe zone to play this now, and then it's a snowball effect, and then people do it. We've had tunes that have sat there for ages, and we know the good tracks. I want to mention one again. We did Shake Your Butt, which it's a bit of a dinky style, quite tough record. If you don't know it, go and check it out. It's really good if you ask me. And we put it out, and it was the B-side, and it didn't get much traction to begin with. There was a couple of people like, oh, this is really good. A couple of like the ravers who were like not DJs and going, oh, this is banging. But no DJs were really supporting it. Then I get a video from Candy, coincidentally enough, and he's like, mate, this is going off. And then, funnily enough, I can't share because the person's name's on here and their personal information, but he's a wedding DJ as well, if you don't know. And he got a request through for can you play this style of music from these amount of minutes in? Go to the minutes in the mix, and it's manic, Shake Your Butt. So like these people want it at their wedding, which I think is absolutely fucking unreal. But that's what I'm saying. It took a one or two DJs to go, this is club approved, for then other DJs to go, yeah, that is banging. I'm not saying people are sheep, but it certainly reflects that in people's behaviour and mannerisms. My one statement I will say about this: if you want the scene to move forward and progress, stop waiting for big originals and start producing them yourselves. I know there is producers out there who are listening right now. It's disheartening when it doesn't get the traction say another remix of Rhythm of the Night would do. But if you're consistent with it and it's cumulative over time, I'm sure it'll pay off. Everyone was in this position at one time, and classics become classics because they were original at one time. So that's my takeaway on that one. Next question is, who could break through? Sorry, I haven't put a name against this one. Who was the last artist to impress you? Somebody who could properly break through as a main headline artist. Tough question. I forgot this was in here, so I haven't actually thought about it. I haven't actually thought about it. So the question is, right, last artist that impressed me, someone who could properly break through as a main headliner artist. In our scene, extremely difficult to point that out because, and this is me being, again, transparent with you, there's nobody in the last couple of years where I've looked and I've went, fuck me, they've got potential. Main reason being maybe people are playing it too safe with the tunes, like and make it sounding like other people just to get there, establish themselves. But there is nobody in this scene where I've witnessed a DJ set, I've witnessed a production, I've witnessed an MC who've absolutely blown me away. There's a couple of people in the MC realm who are actually really making a name for themselves. And the first one is and I've seen his videos, is that MC Stone from Japan. He's had a few viral things. I find it bizarre. It's not really my thing, but he's definitely like breaking through as an artist. The guy who's done tunes with him, is it Mikey C? I think he's done some bits as well, and he's getting a big name for himself. And all of them in that sort of, I'll call it the underground crew, which is like is it Dollar Bars? I don't know the guys, to be honest with you. And Pulse. Pulse was on one of my sets a couple of years ago, New Year's Eve. And like I said, they're all really making names for themselves with the content they're putting out and the videos and things like that. They're the last people I can think of who've sort of like pushed to become and break through from up and comers to sort of an established status. DJ wise, honestly, really struggling to think of anybody. I tell you what, when I look through the event flyers, when we look at this in a second, you know, there has been names break through, but if you want me to be entirely honest, I don't rate them. There's a lot of shite that's broke through, and I say shite. I mean, it's not for me, or they genuinely are just shite, and somehow they're getting gigs. But we'll talk about that when we get to the event side of things. Off the top of my head, no DJs. Off the top of my head, no producers. There's people who've been doing stuff like, for me, and I mentioned him, and it's maybe a bit biased, but someone like a Steve Bates. Steve Bates is putting music out there that is really, really good, and he's consistent, and he's got a whole load of ideas, and he should be getting more gigs. He should be somebody who's breaking through, and he shouldn't be starting at the bottom because he's got that much of a back catalogue now. He should be playing gigs. Producer wise, Nick Hughes. I've said at the beginning of this year, in January, I said this year is going to be Nick Hughes' year. I'm sitting on about 6 tunes of his to release on Manic, and all of them are absolutely class. And he's one of these people as well. He's developed his own sound. He's not trying to rip somebody else off. He's just got something about him that screams different, and really, really happy to have him on board. With Manic, I think he's got huge potential, and people shouldn't sleep on him. He should be on these gigs already for what he's already put out over the last few years. He's certainly not an up and comer in my eyes. Within the circuit, possibly okay. He's put out tunes and he's not really put himself out there. He's one of those people. If he learns to promote himself a little bit better, he could be, you know, that sort of mid-level. Producer DJ, because as well he knows his tunes and stuff like that, and in some cases in the smaller events in the next year or so could be headlining those, and that's just from my perspective as well. I'm sure if you go into his stuff you might agree as well, but he's put out some really, really good music. Chemicals, Need Your Love, Paralysed. I'm currently sitting on an absolute belter that he's done, and when that comes out, that'll be a biggie. So yeah, I did say there was nobody, but I've listed off about, I don't know, 5 or 6 people there. But yeah, definitely. If I had to put one as that should be bigger than they are, I would say Nick Hughes, definitely. And next up, let's see, we have events. So events for this week coming up. If I do miss your event, I do apologise. I'll look across all of the social medias, your Skiddles, your What's Ons and things like that to see what's on. And if you're not promoting your event enough and I don't see it, that's not on me. I do apologise, but I'm looking online to see what's on. And I just pick out the events that go, you know what, I'd actually go to that. That's a pretty cool lineup or a pretty cool concept. And again, as we get into this in a second, you'll see what I mean by cool concepts and things. So this is events section. Let's keep it nice and tight. Let's talk about the lineups. If there's anybody on the lineup who I go, oh yeah, they should be established, well, back to the question from before, I'll point it out. If you're a promoter, like I say every week, if you're a promoter and you want me to do your event a bit of a shout out, then give me a shout and I will get it done on the week of the event. I will not be promoting an event weeks and months in advance. It will just literally be what's on this week. So first up is this one. It's called the First Festival of Summer, and it's Stereo Funk Festival 2026. It's in Hamilton Park. I used to live there, by the way. It's quite a strange one. They know how to party, these lot. this area, the bang into the sort of clubland music and stuff like that. So this lineup here speaks for itself. You've got Alice DJ, DJ Sammy, N-Trance, QFX, Ultrasonic, Q-Tech, Stream Frequency, Alison Limerick, Capella, Live in Joy, Alex Party, LMC, George Bowie, Ultrabeat, Levi Heron, The Rhythmic State, and then obviously support as well. That lineup is fucking quality, by the way. There's a mixture of everything. There's a bit of throwback to the 90s, early 90s, 2000s, and then you've got like Scottish legends, like someone like a George Bowie on there. Do you know what I mean? You've got more modern producers, your Levi Heron in there as well. I know Ultrabeat's starting to release bits again. Well, I say Ultrabeat, but I know Ian Redmond's starting to release bits again. Quality lineup. If you're local to that, get yourself to it, because that will be you. I don't know how much tickets are for that, but you've got a good amount of cash there to cover that. Next up, we have Let's Have It, the 7th birthday, this Saturday at Pure Nightclub in Wigan. Again, we've got a top lineup there. Some of my favourite DJs on this lineup, to be honest with you. So Kutski, one of my favourites. His consistency, his style is fucking quality. I know some people don't like the hard style stuff, but I really, really rate the guy. I think he's phenomenal. Obviously, Rob Kane, one of my favourites as well. MCB, one of my favourites. Really like what Tommy G and Power are doing at the minute. I think they're really good as well. And then the rest of the lineup, you've got obviously Andy Whitby, you've got Hannah Taylor, Ricky Gray, Keo, Lukey P, Mr. Bounce. Mr. Bounce produced a really good tune. It's on my last month's radio show. Really, really good tune. Go and check that out as well. Bounce Assassins, Wilco, Owen Energy, Holly Lucas, C Walks, and Uncle L. There's a few names I'm unfamiliar with there, to be honest with you. And then you've got The Room 2 as well, which is there's a couple of names that I recognise in there as well. So that should be quality. That's this Saturday at Pure. Next up, we've got Trance Central in Peterborough, Area 42. And it's taking you on a journey from uplifting trance to hard trance. I'm all over that. I don't really know any of the names on there, to be honest with you. I know Jason Naughty, obviously, but other than that, I don't really know any of the other names on it. But it appeared to me you don't see many hard trance events around anymore. But I'm sure that'll be pretty sick. Next up, we have the Market Tavern, vinyl only. It's Nuclear Bounce versus Rebellion. I'm not really familiar with anyone on that lineup. Sorry, the host is Brownie. I'm familiar with him. I think I've engineered some stuff for him before. The rest of the lineup, Matty Brown. I do apologise. Matty Brown is a guy who, if I'm not mistaken, runs Old School Night. That's other than that, I'm not really familiar with the rest of the lineup. I do apologise. But that's it. The Horwich, is it? Yeah, the Market Tavern Horwich. Vinyl only night. That should be pretty cool. There'll be some classics pulled out there. Next up, we have again a bounce to the bass. That's on Friday the 24th of April. Liam Wilson, Porter, Joey S, Sparksy, Bald Bros, I don't know what that one says, Dangerous Dave, Yardy, Dobbsy, and Scope. It's in Doncaster. Unfamiliar. I'm not sure if it's Liam Wilson, the trance producer I'm thinking of, but that's in Doncaster if you're local to Doncaster. We have, again, I hope there's no one watching this who will be going to this because, it's under 18s. But it's We Are Bounce versus Shutdown in Burnley at Fusion. Obviously, it's on Hamilton Street, which is formerly, it was Fusion, but it was Mode and the whole host of other names, but quality venue. Good to see that back open. The We Are Bounce nights, really enjoyed playing them in the past. Played a few of them, and they're quite cool to play. Really tough crowd to play for as well, because the younger generation, under 18s right now, have zero attention span. So you're having to constantly be mixing in and out. I found it quite a difficult gig, if I'm honest with you. And last, I think no, two more. This one, I actually might be going to this event on Saturday. So this is Rude Dog Productions' 10th birthday, and it's at Smiley's in Carlisle. So it's Andy Pendle, John G, Joe Taylor, Gary K, Michael Cricket. I mean, fucking hell, what a class lineup! Like, what a range of DJs you've got there as well. Huge fan of this. Huge fan of this. Absolutely quality. This is one of those things where it's less is more. Do you know, you'll get an education of all of these DJs on the lineup. I'm not familiar with Martin Cricket, if I'm totally honest, but Gary, Joe, John, and Andy, all of them will play their own styles and will be really fucking good at telling a story throughout the night. If this flows as I imagine it will, this will be quality. But yeah, I'll be going there with John on Saturday, so that's something. If you come and say hi. And last event here is Bounce to the Bass on Friday the 25th of April. I've just went over. Oh, okay, so they've actually added a couple of people onto this. I'm not sure why there's two flyers for it, but they've got Pete Monsoon, Jamie Porter, I think it's Porter, on there as well. So yeah, that looks all right. That's in Doncaster. And yeah, that's all the events for this week. If I've missed your event out, I do apologise, but get on to me if that's the case, and I'll promote your event for you. We have got the last section of the show today, and that is track reviews. So with this, we've got 2 tracks this week, just as a prerequisite here. If you have any music that you would like to play on the show and review and have a listen to, then just send it over to me on any of the social medias. That's cool. So kicking things off this week with one from Ryan Nil that he sent in. One thing I want to put a little preface to this one is a work in progress from Ryan, and it's under his trance alias N-AYR. It's an original from what I've talked about with Ryan. So again, I'm open-minded to what this is. So let's take a listen. So, firstly, thank you for sending that in, Ryan. I hugely appreciate it. Musically, I think this is the best thing that you've done. Real good use of the pads and the chords on that breakdown. You set yourself a nice bed there. As far as the breakdown goes, I maybe would have shortened it. Just again, if you want this played in a club, it would have to be a little bit shorter. Obviously, I know the trance community have got a bit of a longer attention span when it comes to tunes. It just maybe went on maybe like 8 bars too long there. With the actual track itself, I think your kick is nice and chunky. In the bass line, there's something phasing in and out. So I'm assuming from what I can hear, there's like a sub, and then you've got like a mid-range sound. 1 second, I'll reference it. Here. So you can see he's like octave jumping on the bass. It sounds like something's phasing in and out.
Tell me, can you hear me?
I double check that. What I would do is as well with this, you've got like a solid like low end, and you've got like a low mid range end. I would put something in that mid range as well, like a little short closed filtered pluck, just to give it like a full frequency spectrum range on the bass. A lot of like modern trance is very much like that now, and it just gives more presence in the mix as well. I love my trance, I really do. I think it's quality. Like what you've got going there musically. One thing I didn't like, and this is just me being honest as well, you had these really good synths on the breakdown, and you pulled them out and put a much weaker riff on the drop. I know it's a work in progress. I'm just trying to give you some ideas. You know, you can still use that riff, but maybe have it as a bridge riff and utilize the big chords, because it sounds quite powerful on the breakdown when you sort of playing them chords away, but then when it builds up into the drop, there is a dynamic there that just doesn't quite match up. I'd layer it. I'd maybe drop the chorded riff on the kick in, and maybe even play that riff over the top of it, or after 8 bars, bring it in, or even in the bridge section, have it there, because I think they're both good riffs, but the drop riff doesn't really match up to the energy of what you built up to. And then secondly, I'm not a fan of, and I hear it, and it's not just yourself, I hear it in a few tunes now, it sounds a little bit static, and it's the snare roll. Like there's nothing wrong with it, but it just feels a bit programmed in, and it's this here. This here, I don't know, for me, it sounds like it. You know, I think you could maybe do something more with the snare roll as well, just to get a little more excitement, a little more movement into it. It feels very static on the hits and things like that. Sorry that I've got a lot more positive to say about this than negative. Musically, I really, really do like it. Even the drop riff itself is good, but it's just not quite as thick as the riff that you did on the breakdown. I think the pads are solid. I think the little extension part where you play the vocal on the breakdown, and then you open up the pads to take you on a little bit of a journey. I really like that. I think that was really good. Nice. Thank you for sending that in. Can you send over the finished version of that as well? I would like to hear what that sounds like finished. Thank you very much. And last tune for today is a tune from, let's see, what have we got? Flex, and the track is titled "Love Is the Bass Drum." So I listened to it, and it was obviously "Love Is You" from Happy Men, mid-90s tune. I'm going to say 95, 96. Really enjoyed the original. I thought it was really good. it took me. I remember buying this when vinyl was on the dip years ago. Everyone was basically giving their collections away. I picked this up for about a tenner, and I'm sure it sells for like 20, 30, 40 quid now. It's the original pressing, the one with the DJ Isaac mix on Baby Boom Records, and not really. I like DJ Isaac, but that version it sells a bit erratic. If you've got time, go and check that out. It's wild. But yeah, so it's based off Happy Men Love Is You, and this guy, this Flex, I'm not familiar with him. I've only just recently. We spoke online a little bit. I've not met the guy in person, but from what I can gather, he's recently new to the scene. He started producing recently, and this is some of the work he sent over. So let's take a listen. This is Flex, Love Is the Bass Drum.
That the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like that, the bass drum, that the bass drum go like go like go like go like.
Right, that was Flex, and that was, sorry, I did have the title there, Love Is a Bass Drum. So, first feedback on that one. If you're new to producing and things like that, you've actually put a solid effort in there. That's, there's a lot of things in there that's very clean, with your kick and your bass and things like that, like stuff that people don't usually pick up straight away. So well done on that one. I don't know if you're watching this, but do you master your own music, or what do you put on your mastering chain? Because it sounds like in certain areas you're really, really pushing those high frequencies. It's maybe because the vocals are a little bit too loud. I don't know what it is, but there's something that's not nice on the ear in the higher frequencies. Where, and I'll tell you where it is. It's on the first breakdown. It's where a lot of the elements of the track are fighting for attention. It could split the EQ a little bit better here. I think you could let the pluck sound breathe a little bit better because the piano's taking up a lot of the room, the vocals taking up a lot of the room. If you were to cleverly EQ each element so you could, you could push it through. Other than that, though, there was a couple of like production elements, like the tune itself. It seems a bit like erratic. I would call it like an ADHD tune. It seems like it's just like a bit of this thrown here, a bit of that thrown there. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. But there was one major thing where I was just like, it felt a bit deflating. Listen to it, and again, this is me just being honest. It's on the build-up. You do a kick roll here. This here. That there. So with that, you're doing a kick roll, but you're getting all the low end together, and it's all like compiling, and it sounds really, really, really loud just before it kicks in. So if you're that one bar beforehand, so you're like, and it gets to that point, and then the tune kicks in, but it's much quieter because you've had the compound like low end there build up, and then it just kicks into the kick bass, and it's clean. There's nothing wrong with the actual drop itself. It's the build up you need to just address a little bit. Cut the low end out of the kicks as it builds up. Don't do it from like straight away. Have it like a nice rumble, like boom, 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 and as it does that, cut the low end out of that, or like maybe pitch your kicks up or something like that, so it goes because it will lower that volume down, so when it kicks in with more effect. A couple of other tricks you could do is on your breakdowns, be ever so subtle and remove, say, like, half a dB on the break to when the beats are playing. I've done that in the past to get like a cleaner mix where it punches you in the face a bit better. But yeah, them drum rolls on both breakdowns, they're quite overpowering in comparison to the drop. If you'll notice if you play in the club as well, you probably get a bigger reaction if you took the low end out of the kick roll before it kicked in and then brought the bass back in. It'd be much, much, much better, and you get a big bump, like in the face reaction. But yeah, if you're into your journey or whatever as a producer, it's a good effort you put in there. But like I said, there's a couple of things I would tidy up on that one. Thanks for sending that in. And I just want to say as well, that's all for this week. I hope you've enjoyed it as usual. Just going to do a little thing. I put a mix out last week. It was I can't remember what I called it now. It's Terminator themed, and it was Come With Me If You Want to Dance. It's a journey through like trance into the Spanish hard dance, into the Scouse house, then onto the sort of bouncier stuff at the end. It's what the style I'd play when I used to warm for Sanctuary. It's quite an enjoyable mix. I made it for the car, and I thought I'm sure other people will enjoy this too, so there's that there. If you enjoy our music as well, you can go and check it out on Spotify. It's Manic Music. If you type in Manic Music Index, you will find the whole release back catalogue from Manic Music. I've been Brad Refresh. Share this with your friends, or give it a wee like as well. A little wee thumbs up, it helps massively. And again, if you've got any questions, any tunes you want to send over, let me know, and I'll see you again next week.